everybody to another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. And yesterday, I had another winning day. I only had one bet, best bet for the show, Lakers money line, and they win easily. I think by what, 40 points, somewhere around 40 points. And if I'm not mistaken, the under got there too for you as well, Rob. So I'm gonna kick it over to you. Did you do anything a little bit more than that? How was yesterday for you? How are you doing today?
Good today, Ski. Boy, what a busy card today. Trying to go over it early this morning and early this afternoon. But yeah, yesterday the only play was the under on my part. And it wasn't as easy as your Laker play. We needed the fourth quarter to be an absolute blowout and nobody caring and 42 points scored. And that sort of got it there under the wire pretty comfortably. But, like we said yesterday, maybe we can make a parlay out of the two things we liked and get ourselves a win. And sure enough, Lakers and under both came through.
Yeah, they did. And looking at the chat, Nathan first once again, he said smoking on that Pelicans pack. Blake show, that one was a nice one. And for yesterday, the previous 2 days since we started doing this, best bets are really good. But yesterday, best bets took a step back for everybody in the chat. I recorded 15 of them. I only have 5 winners. So I'm not going to shout out all the losers here today, but I'm going to shout out Theo with the Bucks game under. That was the winner. Saturated. Ellie with his points plus assists. That was the winner. He bought out. He let everybody know what time it was. And Justin, he has Zeke over 19.5 receiving yards. That was a winner. Razor came in the chat and let us know he also liked the Lakers. That was a winner. And Mel with the Avs team total under 3.5. So nice work from you guys there. Let's see if we can do it again today. Share some information and come out with some more winners. Let me take a look at a couple more comments here before we get started. Match predictions, SA says, live from Cape Town, South Africa. Bro, you cashed a 14-1 parlay last night. Last night's winners and totals. Lakers unders and Pacers unders. My children are eating because of you. Thank you, sir. Bless it. Well, I'm glad we provided some winners and happy you enjoy. And it's really cool to see you tuning in from South Africa. So much appreciated there. Justin cashed his plus 138 best bet yesterday. Nice work. Jimmy, what up, brother? Says happy blessed Friday. Smash the like button for us. It does help the show out if you could hit the like button. What up, Prolific? Dr. Philly liking those Lakers as well. And that one was kick your feet up play of the day. It was easy. Easy. Let's see a couple more here. Hello, Miss Tasha. Saturated, trying to figure out why we were late. She says he's laddering Ski's arrival time up to 12 minutes late, minus 140. Flash waiting for us too. A lot of people were waiting. So apologize for being late, but we are here now and time to get to work. So I figure with all the games on the NBA slate, Rob, we just get through those first. And if we feel like it, if we have time, we can touch on anything else after that. Sound good?
Yes, it does.
All right, cool. Can't get to every single comment, probably because we're late, but appreciate all of you guys. And Flash says, smash it, talking about the like button. Appreciate you, Flash. All right, NBA, we'll go in rotation order like we always do. And we will start with 505, 506. Toronto Raptors heading into Charlotte to take on the Hornets. Open Raptors -4. I see them as a 5.5 point favorite right now. Total open 225, and it's down 3 points to 222. Coloco continues to be out for the Raptors. Mark Williams is game time decision for the Hornets, and they will continue to be without LaMelo, Cody Martin, and Frank Ntilikina. Looking at a couple trends or stats for both of these teams, you have the Hornets only covering one of their last 6 games. 2-4-1 as a home dog so far this season. They have gone over 12 of their last 17 games. For the Raptors, they've only been a road favorite once. They covered, and they have gone under 4 of their last 5 games. I don't have the strongest opinion here, but my initial thoughts, Rob, I don't have a lot of faith in Charlotte without LaMelo. Go back to last year. I say it time and time again. I expect the offense to be a lot worse. I expect them to play a little bit slower, and that's going to translate to either unders or fading the Hornets. And that's the only way that I can look in this game. So, would you agree, or how would you approach Raptors versus Hornets?
Well, I would agree that it's not by any means my strongest opinion of the day. In fact, I would just assume let this game go. But for reasons that you mentioned with Charlotte, they're 1-3 since LaMelo went down. That one win was a 129-128 victory over Brooklyn, which kind of came out of left field. But if you go back even deeper, they're 1-5 last 6. They're just not playing well. It would lead you to look into Toronto. But again, I take these quotes kind of seriously, and I don't like what I read from Toronto Raptors head coach Darko Rajakovic, who said, "I thought that our discipline was not where it needs to be. We just did not do what we're supposed to do out there. It's definitely concerning, definitely something that we're going to have to look at the film." So, if you kind of try and make sense of those words, it sounds like Toronto's not a cohesive unit whatsoever. And at 9-12 and a team that's dropped 4 of their last 5 to the spread, I don't know that I want them either, especially in this role. So for me, it's probably a flat out pass. I would love to be able to say home dog is good in this situation, but without LaMelo Ball, just can't. So I'm going to let this one go, Ski.
And the chat thinks that's the best way to approach this one too. Flash that it's a DJing game, move on. A lot of people in the chat are saying stay away. So we're all in agreement. We won't waste any more time here. We'll move over to 507, 508. Detroit heading into Orlando to take on the Magic. Open Magic -11. Not much movement. See 11 is pretty much everywhere. Total open 228.5. And we're looking at 229 for the consensus there. For the injury report, Jalen Duren and Morris, both out. I think Duren's out another 2 weeks now with that same ankle injury. They do have Bogdanovich back in the lineup for this Pistons team, so that should definitely help out offensively. And looking at Orlando, they continue to be without Wendell Carter Jr., Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Harris, and Jalen Suggs now out too. So a lot of people missing for this Orlando squad. I'll say this, Rob. Orlando's been extremely impressive to start the season. They're 14-7 so far, and I can't say I expected that. Detroit, I think they're right where I expected. They've covered 5 games out of their last 18. I don't really want to be looking towards them at all. Magic, I don't think of them as a team in general that I want to lay these kind of points with, but they've been kind of proving me wrong. You look at them when they play lesser competition, or let's look at them as a home favorite. I mean, that's probably going to be the same scenario, right? But specifically at home, they're 4-1 ATS. Then when they play lesser competition, and when I say that, I mean teams with a win percentage of less than 45%, they're 6-1 against the spread. As long as the Magic have been rested so far this season, 13-4 against the spread. Granted, a lot of these, probably majority of these, are not 11-point favorites, but it just goes to show that Magic are one of those cohesive units and playing really well to start the season. They've covered 8 of their last 11 games. They've also gone over their last 5 games. Maybe we just look towards points here, Rob. Detroit also 7-3 towards the over on the road. I talked about getting Bogdanovich back and how that boosts the offense. You look at how both of these teams have been playing lately, both top 10 in pace. Orlando, surprisingly, 25th defensive rated team, Pistons at 19th. So it should be an up-tempo game, not a whole lot of defense. It makes me a little nervous that neither team is great shooting the 3, but if they have the tempo there, I can see this one getting up and over. So if I have to play right now, I would prefer probably cut it in half and go Magic first half, just not to lay the biggest number, and look towards the over. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, for somebody out there real quick, or if you have them, Ski, I was trying to get to the first half numbers while you were talking there for both of these teams. We'll see what they look like. I'll say a couple of things here.
I have it. Orlando -6, and the total is 112.5.
And point spread, how they've done so far this year is what I was looking for. Normally, Boofer's got those first quarter, first half stuff. If anybody in the chat has it, just throw it at me. I didn't have it in these notes because I was looking more towards over, like you said, Ski. 8 of the last 9 games played by Orlando, believe it or not, have gone over 229.5. It was surprising to me when I went back 9 games, but they've been scoring a lot. They've been giving up a lot. They're off of back-to-back losses, and I would prefer the home team off of back-to-back losses here, the better team, the home team. And when you talk about Orlando being able to be somewhat of a bully, let's just say that this past couple of weeks, they've beaten Washington by 19, Charlotte by 13, Boston by 17, Toronto by 19, Indiana by 12. That's 5 games right there, all better than the 11 that they have to lay here. However, we have to take into account, A, the injury list you read, B, the fact that they're off 3 straight losses. So how do you want to treat the 3 straight losses really is, I think, how you come to your decision on side here. Does Orlando have the ability to cover 11? We just ran off some numbers. They do. Do they have the incentive to cover by 11? Certainly off of back-to-back losses with a little time off, I would say that they do. And do they have the opponent to beat by this margin? Detroit on the road, on average, loses by 9 points a game. They're only 1-9 straight up, so we know pretty much they're going to lose. They only win 10% of the time. Will they lose by more than 11? It would seem like they could here if Orlando comes to play. But for me, I think those total numbers just speak a lot more. The Bogdanovich insertion into the lineup is huge where points are concerned for Detroit. We know they play little defense. We know that without Jalen Duren, they're not great on the boards. So I would say give me over, Ski, just because the numbers indicate that Orlando can play over 229. And I know for darn sure Detroit can play over 229. So I'll look that way.
Well, it looks like you're getting a slight discount on the first half, right? With the 112.5. Why is my question is, why is the first half total coming down? It opened 114 and now 112.5. But the full game opened 228.5 and is now 229. It's going up slightly. So that makes me a little bit nervous right there. But I would only look towards points, whichever way you decide, first half or full game. I agree with that. The chat, appreciate you guys for helping us out with some stats. Jamrock Kick says less D for Detroit with Duren, and Bogdanovich plays no defense. I think he's agreeing with the over. So so the Magic, they threw some stats up there. Magic are 14-5 to the first half over, but Detroit 15-5 to the first half under. Maybe that's why we're seeing them buyback. They're just paying that Detroit number. I am using the Wagertalk odds screen for everything talk about odds related on this show. Let's keep moving here, Rob. I think we can find little better spots with the rest of these games. Next one will be 509, 510. Atlanta Hawks and Philadelphia 76ers opened up Sixers -7. They're 9.5 point favorite as a consensus right now. Total open 242.5, and it's down 7.5 points to 235. This has to be injury news. Let me hit refresh, and yes, Trae Young is out, Jalen Johnson out. So Trae Young probably just got ruled out shortly or slightly before the show. And the thing I'll say is Atlanta hasn't been good in general. They've covered 5 out of 20 games so far this season. When they play competition, 55% when teams are better. They cover 1 out of 6 games. It's not a whole lot to like. I know last season there were some stretches where Trae Young was out. The team might have looked like they played a little bit better without him. So maybe in this situation, you could get a Sixers team overlooking the Hawks without Trae Young, and a Hawks team with a little bit of, they play just fine without Trae Young. So it makes me nervous here. I really, really don't want the Hawks. This seems like one of those games like we've seen all season where the star player gets rolled out and they still find a way to cover because the other team isn't taking them as serious. So lean towards, I guess that makes me lean towards Atlanta now. And the total, obviously Trae Young out is going to hurt the over. That's the way I want it to look, but still won't take an under with the way both of these defenses have been looking lately. So either the over or the Hawks plus the big number. Do you agree? Or are you looking at the Sixers side here, Rob?
Well, I think if we've learned anything about the NBA over the last 2 years, when the star player is out, you can usually look at that side for a cover. Point spread immediately goes up, but that side usually does a good job without the star player. For where Trae Young is concerned, Ski, I'm not so sure that he consistently helps the team offensively anyway. I mean, this dates back a long, long time to last year where his three-point shooting hasn't been what we expect out of Trae Young on a consistent basis. It's been erratic at best. But I don't think they'll have any trouble the way that they play scoring points, even if Trae Young isn't present. But what it does make me lean toward a little bit here is maybe Philadelphia's team total over. The spot you worry about here is if Philadelphia's in blowout position after 3 quarters, does the fourth quarter soften up and you don't get over 122.5? But the Hawks give them up like water. And I'm not saying Trae Young brings a lot defensively to the table, but I just think the pace that this game is going to be played at for Philly to get to 123 isn't a heck of a lot to expect out of them against this type of defense. Atlanta's been better on the road than they have at home. I guess I feel a couple of different ways about this game. I wouldn't want to lay the points with the Sixers at this point in time, but I do think it could be a high-scoring game that stays within the number. So it could look Philly team total over. It helps that Trae Young is out. And Philadelphia's team total started at 125 and is now all the way down to 122.5 just because the game total has to come down, right? So they got to bring both team totals down. And Philadelphia hasn't been affected offensively in any way, shape, or form. So I think that's the way I'd roll. Probably Philadelphia team total over 122.5. And I think if push came to shove, I would probably look at the Hawks plus the points. Again, you said it the other day. Look at these things logically, come up empty. Look at them a little outside the box, come up with your pockets filled. So maybe Atlanta's the right way to look here.
Yep, that's how things have been going lately. That Philly team total, I can definitely understand looking at the last 5 games. They're the best offense in the league, going up against the 27th ranked defense in Atlanta. And I do think this game will be played with pace. So I like it. And we'll move on over to the next game. Before we do, a couple people are shouting out DeJounte Murray, PRA. I think it was Bryce. You see, he said he went over this number. He had 32 points, 10 assists in the only game without Trae. So thinking he can go back to that well, and I would agree with that look. Travis Johns also taking DeJounte Murray over 27.5 PRA. Thinks they're still 30.5 with him out now. He says he's going to go off. So I think that's a good way to play it, and we will keep moving right along. Next game, 5-11, 5-12. Washington Wizards heading into Brooklyn to face the Nets. This one opened up Nets -9. They're about a 10-point favorite at the consensus. Total open 237.5, and we're looking at 239.5. For the injury report here, for the Wizards, looks like Daniel Gafford is game time decision. They will be without DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet, Ryan Rollins, and Johnny Davis. For the Nets, Ben Simmons continues to be out along with Lonnie Walker. And the Nets have been playing really good basketball to start the season. They've been playing really good basketball lately since they've gotten a lot healthier. And all the trends and everything says the Nets 6-1 home favorite, 6-1 ATS last 7, 14-4 with rest so far this year. Like everything says to bet them, but are those numbers with them as a 10-point favorite? No, they are not. The Wizards, they've been extremely poor. They are, however, 8-4 as a road dog, and they've covered 5 of their last 7 games. So maybe the numbers have caught up to where it's no more value fading Washington here, or just in general at the moment. So it's very hard for me to lay that 10 with Brooklyn. Some people may look at it and say it's high for a reason. All the numbers are going to back Brooklyn here, but it's just I don't view them as a late 10 type of team. I just don't. So if I have to look at it like that, I do know the Wizards play up tempo. I feel like the Nets, especially like I said, getting healthier, they'll probably, they'll be just fine playing a little bit more up tempo. And I trust both offenses more than the defense. So I will lean towards the over. even though 4 of the last 5 meetings have went under. I just think points more than not in this game. How do you feel, Rob?
Yeah, I like that way, Ski. Anything involving the Wizards lately that's less than 240, I think you get a green light on. Just to go over some numbers, the Washington Wizards in their last 7 games, their point totals, the final score point totals, have been 257, 255, 259, 244, 259, 261, and 231 is the only game in their last 7 that didn't reach this number, 239. It's been bet up from 237. Or actually, well, you can still get 239 out there. I'm looking at the Wagertalk odds screen as well. But I don't see any reason why you wouldn't play this one up and over. The Nets have shown, I think we talked about it, or you talked about it a little bit on the show I was with you on, that the Nets just have so many shooters and the Wizards just don't defend whatsoever. But they will play at pace. They do have their own scores. And it just seems like one of those games where you have a big favorite that may not be very fearful of the opponent and doesn't mind letting them score because they know they're going to outscore them. Those games happen so frequently in the NBA. I think that's the case here. The one scary part, and there's always a concern, every bet you make, you do have one concern at least going in, would be what you mentioned about the series history recently staying under and the 102-94 game that they played earlier this year. I looked it up. Cam Thomas didn't play in that game, but that's about it, really. So I think if you do have a concern, that would be it. Maybe there's something about these two getting together, but I'm not going to allow that to affect the rest of the things, the rest of the indicators that point toward over. I think over 239.5.
All right, so we're in agreement on this game. These first 3 or 4 games that we've been talking about, they were my least favorite. But these games coming up, I do like a lot more and feel a lot stronger. So I'd like to keep it moving. What's up, Levi? Not sure which way. Sorry if sorry to mess it up. But let me know which way to say it. And I appreciate you tuning in. Chef Jeff also likes the over in this one. And only way to look, we both think. Next game up, this will be 5-13, 5-14 Cavaliers into Miami to take on the Heat. Opened up Cavs -1, still sitting at -1. Total open 218. We're looking at as high as 223 over at DraftKings. For Cleveland, Rubio, LeVert, Ty Jerome, all out. Evan Mobley, also a game time decision here. For Miami, they'll continue to be without Bam, Tyler Hero, and Highsmith. Duncan Robinson is game time, but he's more like probable here. So how I feel about this game, number one, I don't trust Cleveland on the road. I just don't. And I don't think Cleveland is a team I want to – I get it's a pick 'em, so I won't say expect them to win by margin, but I don't trust Cleveland on the road. I'll leave it at that. I have them as 1-4 as a road favorite. Miami on the other side, 0-1 as a home dog. When they play competition, they step up, though. 55% win teams are better, 4-1 ATS. And you can speak to this, Rob, because you brought it to my attention before the last game. But Jimmy, tired of losing. And when I hear Jimmy start talking, it's usually wise to listen. So combination of those things, Miami being the better offense lately. Miami's defense has been slacking, but I think, or at least numbers-wise, but I think that's because of 2 games versus the Pacers. And I think they can control this one. So I would only look towards the Heat here. Do you have the same sentiments?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with riding the wave or momentum, so to speak, from the other night, Ski, where Jimmy Butler, and in a less favorable position, I think, the other night, they come up with the win in that first game without Bam. And, I always treat his remarks with an awful lot of respect because when he talks, generally he says what's on his mind and he's going to tell you what's going to happen. And what he said was going to happen was they were going to be a little better than mediocre, and they were. I think that probably continues into tonight. I think this matchup from 3-point range is really interesting here. Miami's been so good from 3. And when I looked it up this morning, Ski, number 5 in the NBA shooting the three. Cleveland's not terrific at stopping it, but they're not poor either. They're in the upper half. But Cleveland's three-point shooting has been miserable. Miami's three-point D has been miserable. Maybe you can get a bunch of threes in this game. Where total is concerned, it could be more of an over than an under. It certainly has been bet that way from 218 to 222. Just want to, for those who watch a lot of Miami Heat, you already know. But for me, just watching the other night, it was kind of the first time I got a really good look at the replacement for Bam Adebayo, Orlando Robinson. And Eric Spoelstra had nothing but great things to say about him and how he improves every time he gets minutes on the floor. But he had 12 boards the other night. And Miami didn't seem to suffer too much in the interior, on the interior, as we would have thought they would suffer. You know, he's not Bam scoring the basketball, but still with the defense and rebounding, he was pretty good. And that's what Jimmy likes to call into play here. I'm going to say I didn't bet the game, first of all, so I don't want to steer anybody in one direction or the other. But I do think the movement towards over was correct. I think they're, again, I'll throw the word value around. Maybe the value is gone at this point, 218 all the way to 222. But I'm one who always thinks Miami totals are underpriced. And I think Miami, I don't know how at this point you don't believe in Jimmy. So if I had to play, I would probably take the Heat. But I think the guys who got to the number early and got that 218 were smart here. I think it gets over that for sure.
Yeah, if you got in at 218, you did a great job. And Rob says he still thinks that one can't get over. I'm only looking towards Miami here. If I'm playing with the home team, that's just how I will roll in this game. And we will keep it moving. Next game up, we have 5:15, 5:16. Minnesota Timberwolves heading into Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. This game opened T-Wolves -6.5. They're about a 6-point favorite across the board. Total open 216 down to 213.5. Injury report: McLaughlin, Clark, McDaniels continue to be out for Minnesota. Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, John Morant, Marcus Smart out for this Grizzlies team. John Morant slowly getting closer to return now. What are they? 20 games
20
in
games.
here? Yeah, 20 games in, so getting pretty close to making his return. How I feel about this one? These teams did play a little while ago, and Minnesota was on the road, and that was one of their few road games where they still played defense. They held the Grizzlies to, I think, 97 points, and the game barely stayed under. It was 217.5. I think I had the under on that game. But in general, Minnesota is a team that I trust a hell of a lot at home. Don't really trust them on the road. I think they're 3-6 ATS on the road, 6-3 to the over. Not playing that same defense. They allow around 100 points per game at home. They allow a little bit over 112 on the road. That's just who who Minnesota has shown themselves to be so far. So those things make me want to look towards either over or Memphis. Look at the Memphis side. They've been playing good lately. They've won, or I'm sorry, I think they've won 3 of their last 4, but they're 4-1 ATS their last 5 games, and I feel like they're starting to play with a little bit of confidence. They're the better rebounding team the last 5 games. They're a top 5 defensive rated team the last 5 games as well. I think that can help them stay in this game here today. So I thought about 2 ways to play this game. I'm either liking the Grizzlies plus the 6 because of how well they've been playing lately and who Minnesota has shown us they are on the road so far. Or, and this is where it gets tough because if I like the Grizzlies, I like them a lot because of their defense, not as much because of their offense. But at the same time, I want to fade Minnesota's defense on the road. So Grizzlies team total is 103.5. They average 103.6 at home. They average 106.4 points per game in general. I think, with Minnesota allowing a little bit more than 12 more points on the road, I think that's still safe too. But the Grizzlies are 7-2 to the under at home. 7 of their last 8 games have gone under. Minnesota's gone under 4 of their last 5 games. Makes me a little bit hesitant. So either Grizzlies plus 6, Grizzlies team total over 103.5. I want to get to the window with one of those plays. Can you talk me on or off, Rob?
I'll let you walk, Ski. You walk right to the window. I'll sit back and I'll root for you. I can't play against Minnesota despite the reasons that you gave, mainly because I can't get myself to Memphis. Some of the really good work they've done in the last few games has been against really bad defensive opposition. Dallas, Detroit, Utah, and San Antonio Spurs. 4 games in the last 10 where Memphis has been able to shoot 46.5 or better from the field, percentage-wise. That's been really good for them. But if you go to the other 6 games against better competition defensively, don't shoot the ball at all. And so I always put Minnesota in that defensive class, and I do get the separation between home and road. But I get the separation between Memphis being good against weaklings offensively and lousy against everybody else. So when you were talking about how to play the total, that's kind of the dilemma I was in. I thought to myself, well, you know what? Maybe I want to play under. Nope. There's a reason why I don't want to play. Maybe I want to play over. Nope. When you broke it down to Memphis over 103, maybe that's the way to go, but I still don't trust it enough. They didn't get there the first time these two played. You already talked about that score, 119-97. I did read an article, though, and this would back Memphis a little bit. I read an article this morning to where Memphis actually has this game somewhat targeted it as a revenge game. It was played so in such a short time span that they remember it well, getting beat by 22. And maybe that comes into play here. So another reason maybe to talk you off Minnesota, put you on Memphis. But for me, I just get too many contradicting reasons both ways, and I couldn't play it either. If Minnesota was cheaper, I think I would have gotten there. But at 6, I don't know that I want to lay that. So I'm going to let it go, but I'll certainly root for Memphis if you're on it.
Well, what you said about them having this game circled as a revenge game, Jamrock Kicks agrees. Says they should bring the energy tonight, paying off a 49-point game. And Ant was talking about how it was weird last game. He came to Memphis a couple weeks ago because of the lack of energy. So maybe they bring it right out the gate tonight. I would only look towards the Grizzlies in that game. BC3 likes Edwards points over. Buford thinks T-Wolf second quarter. SK is looking at Conley assist. Saturated thinks Gobert is going to own the rebounds tonight. Says 50 of them.
I'll say this real quick too, Ski, because for years I've said that I believe in home teams on Friday nights. I just feel like the Friday night crowds are the most electric of all. And when you're the home team in front of that, it helps you a lot. So maybe that's another one of those exterior situational type boosts for Memphis in this game.
That's a good point. And this comment, Saturated says, if the Grizz are going to get over their team total, Bane has to be the guy. Who else is there? I would agree with that. So maybe you just look at Bane points over. But I'll keep both on my short list here. Either get to the window Memphis +6 or the team total. Just maybe a little bit more towards +6 right now. Let's keep going here. We do have a good amount of games left. I think 6 or 7. So next game up, 5-17, 5-18. We have Warriors and OKC. Game opened OKC -3.5. We're now a 3-point favorite. Total open 235, and we're seeing 236.5 as the consensus. Nobody on the injury report for OKC. Gary Payton II out for Golden State. Let me get my stuff back in order here. This is a game where I feel like the Warriors have this game circled. I mean, I talked about the Warriors last game versus Portland. I think you were there with me, right, Rob? And I talked about how the Warriors were going to overlook that game because they want to look at OKC, and it's a double revenge spot for the Warriors. And SGA, man, he just, he has a good game. You want to go show off on Instagram, posting every single highlight over Steph Curry. I'm sure Steph Curry has been showing those clips, and I know Golden State wants this game. Golden State last 5 games have been a better defense. They've been a better rebounding team. They're 5-2 as a road dog. Even though OKC has been good in everything against the spread, really home favorite, last 15 games, et cetera, et cetera. I just think we get a really strong effort from Golden State, and I think it starts with Steph Curry. So I would look towards Steph over his 28.5 points. I mean, he averages a little bit over 29. He just has to get to his average tonight. And I think he'll want to prove a little bit of a point. Like, slow down, young fella. And I like the Warriors +3. I'm getting involved in the side here. How do you feel, Rob?
I feel like mocking Steph Curry is never a good thing to do. I mean, who would ever advise doing that? I don't get, and SGA has proven to be somewhat unstoppable by anybody in this league, but still, you don't want to go out and do that. I'll say this, Ski. I think that last point, and I didn't think of it, but the last point you just made about maybe narrowing this down to a Steph Curry prop might be a way I could be leaned into playing something with Golden State. Again, these quotes don't make me comfortable. Steve Kerr is a pretty honest head coach. Steve Kerr, I've been really patient and hoping to get our starting unity from the last couple of years into a good groove. It's easier to play and easier to coach when everybody knows exactly where they fit in, and role players. It's easier to play a role when there's a set rotation and the stars are playing well, so the puzzle fits. Our puzzle hasn't fit this year. We got a lot of guys playing well, but we may have to think about moving our starting lineup around from game to game, depending on who we are facing. I'd still prefer to get something solid, but we haven't established anything this year. We're a quarter way through. There's a lot of thought that has to go into this. It just tells me that they don't even know where the heck they're at right now. So if I'm going to play Golden State, I would singularly circle Steph Curry, like you mentioned. He's the one guy I think that if they're going to try and put it on somebody's shoulders while they work it out, while the head coach works it out, then Steph Curry's that guy. However, a great effort by Golden State could still lead to a 124-120 loss. OKC cover. OKC is everything that Steve Kerr just quoted. They're not anything like what Steve Kerr just quoted, is how I should put it. Certainly deep rotation, the energy, the continuity, the whole shooting match OKC has. So I wouldn't play the side. I would probably look at total going over. I think all that stuff Steve Kerr talks about speaks to defense as well as offense. It speaks to the whole picture. And I think either over or, and I've kind of shied myself away from player props this year, but playing Steph Curry in some capacity and probably points and assists or just points itself sounds like a pretty good way to go here, because obviously, you know, like you said, being mocked on social media by SGA is not going to go over big with him tonight.
Absolutely not. And if you guys want to know, just go look at SGA's Instagram and the date when they played the Warriors. You just scroll a couple of things down that post and you'll see everything I'm talking about. Match predictions essay says Kuminga over tonight, asking, and you know, it's uncertain how many minutes he's going to get. You hear what Rob is saying; they're trying to figure out their rotations. Until you know you get some kind of clarity on that, it's hard for me to bet the other guys, other besides Steph Curry. So I would probably hold off myself. But very close with the Warriors, and I do like Steph. Did take Steph. Somebody asked if we can talk about the total in this game. I mean, both teams playing a little bit faster than the average lately. Both teams have also been top 10 defensive rated teams. Both teams top 10 defending the three on the season, but pretty good shooting it as well. Last 7 meetings between these teams have all gone over. 8 of the last 12 games for Golden State have gone over. 6 of the last 9 games for OKC have went over. I mean, if you just follow the way these teams usually play each other, you go bet up and over the total. Would you disagree, Rob?
Not at all. Not at all. Like I say, I think that what Steve Kerr said speaks to offense and defense. They're just not there yet. So if Steph is going to put on a show, which I think we could anticipate, a big night for him and a big offensive night for Golden State, but I think Oklahoma City has every capability to outscore them. So, yeah, I would look over or no other way. Just for those who don't know, it opened 235. It's pushed to 236.5. So some money has come in on over. You can still shop and get the best price of 236.
All right, good stuff. We've been on for 40 minutes, and we still have 5 games left. So let's keep moving right along. Next game up is 5/19/5/20. Chicago Bulls heading into San Antonio to take on the Spurs. This game opened Bulls -2. They're a 2.5 point favorite now. Total open 226. Consensus is 225. For the injury report here, nobody on there for the Spurs. Caruso is game time along with Torrey Craig, and Zach LaVine remains out. I'm thinking he's going to be out until he gets traded or something like that. That's how I'm feeling. This Chicago team, they've been a team you wanted absolutely nothing to do with so far this season. They had that players only meeting, what, first game of the season, and you see they're trying to blow this thing up already. But what I will say is, without Levine out there, you have guys who actually care, guys who actually are trying and playing for something. So Chicago has that going for them. And lately, with Levine out, I'll say last 5 game stats, maybe a couple of those are with Levine or one are with Levine or whatever. But better offensive team, defensive and rebounding team. And that's not surprising because the Spurs have been complete garbage. One thing I'll say about the Bulls is, as bad as they've been this year, they play lesser competition. They're 3-0-1 against the spread. So they say, wait a minute, we're not this bad. We could beat these teams. So I feel like that's how I prefer to play it versus Spurs here tonight. Spurs are 2-6-1 as a home dog. Only covered 5 of their last 15 games. Only way to look for me is Chicago. I think Kobe White continues to be a look. He's seen an increase or an uptick ever since Levine has stopped playing. So either one of those ways, Kobe White or the Chicago Bulls, would be my recommendations for Chicago versus San Antonio. How do you feel about Bulls versus Spurs, Rob?
All right, I like to get out in front of things, Ski, so you could be proactive and take what I'm saying to heart, or what I'm about to say to heart, or you could, lay back and wait and see what happens. But I like this game over, and I can't believe they bet it under. And I predicate that, Ski, on, well, a couple of things, but the main reason why I love over here and I want to get out in front of this is what Billy Donovan had to say. Here's what he was asked, or here's what he was responding to: the fact that the Bulls had lost 5 straight and struggled with pace. We know how miserable they looked offensively. Last in the league in possessions per 48 minutes. However, last 3 games, all of a sudden their possessions are up by 4.5 a game. Here's Billy Donovan. We've got to run. We've got to get down the floor and play with force. The number of possessions in an NBA game, that's a lot of running. We have to do it, and we have to be able to sustain it. So if I just look at the last 3 games, he's put that into effect. Their possessions have gone up. Their scoring, they got to 111 the other night. San Antonio is a team that's going to do nothing but get up and down the floor, play no defense. So if there's, and your point about Zach LaVine, maybe the team being more united, so to speak. I don't want to make it sound like Zach LaVine is a problem child, but maybe on the floor they play a little more together. And this new philosophy being instilled by Donovan, I'd like to capitalize on 224, or let me just check real quick here so I don't throw the viewers off. 224.5 you could get right now. It opened 226 down to 224.5. In a San Antonio game, to me, that's nothing. So I think if Billy Donovan is absolutely pounding the table for playing fast and getting up and down the floor, then I'm absolutely in against this particular opponent, which is defenseless. Good job, Greg Popovich, coaching these guys up. Over 224.5. I got to be there. I got there this morning with it at the 225 price, Ski. I could get back in again at 224.5, but I like it over.
You have some good points. And the coach saying that they need to play fast is definitely a good point there. Bulls have went over 5 of their last 6 games. Both teams bottom 10 defending the 3. Spurs making a change at the point guard, taking I'm gonna save the jokes that I had because might be sensitive subject. But change at the point guard position to Vassell. I think that helps the offense quite a bit. I could see an over here. Spurs second in pace the last 5 games, and Bulls sound like they want to match that pace. Seems like a one-way ticket. And like you said, this one has been bet down a little bit from 226 to 224.5. So I'll mark that. That is an interesting play for me. Maybe I'll consider Chicago/Spurs over 224.5. Let me see a couple comments here for this one. For you guys asking about the Celtics game, we did not get there yet. I'm going in rotation order. I know it doesn't match up time wise, but Celtics are second to last here today. VC says 86 likes, 338 watching. The math ain't mathing. Yeah, if you guys enjoy the information that we're providing, hit the like button. It does help out the show tremendously. Saturated says Bulls are probably less efficient with Levine. I mean, when you're playing with somebody who doesn't care, and then you take him out, and you got people who do care, it makes sense why we see such a big difference. Booper says Chicago second half on the road is 1-8. Spurs second half at home 1-9. Fade both says he can't play it, and we'll keep moving right along here. Next game up, we will go to 521, 522. And that's why I use these rotation order numbers so you guys can keep track of where we're going. Houston and Denver, and also that's how you go to the window and bet. Houston and Denver. Open Denver -8. They're now -9. Total open 219. And we're seeing an increase now. We're seeing 221.5. Injury report. Let me hit the refresh button here because it's been a little while. Landale, Oladipo, Thompson out for the Rockets. Jamal Murray is game time decision, but he's likely to play for these Denver Nuggets. And apologize for that. There we go. So how I feel about this one. Initially, I wanted to look towards the under. Both teams bottom 10 in pace the last 5 games. And I really like when I bet on the Rockets majority of times, or I want the Rockets to win, I think they're going to do it with their defense. They are still the best team defending the 3 on the season. And when I look at the Nuggets, I had to think about it again, just because you get Jamal Murray back. I know he's been playing a little bit now, but like the more they start to play together, the more I think they start to cover spreads again, and the more I think they start to score points. So that makes me nervous to bet the under here, along with the market pushing it up towards the over. You have a Houston team who's went under 9 of their last 12. So between that and the pace, why would this one continue to get bet up? I just feel like the health of Denver will be able to, trump Houston's defense. And if I'm not mistaken, last time these teams played, it was close to 260 points scored. So I guess as of right now, I'll lean towards the over. And as far as the side is concerned, I really want to get there with the Rockets. I mean, both teams have been kind of opposites, right? Nuggets 3-10-1 ATS last 14, last 15 games for the Rockets 11-2-2. Rockets have shown they can step up versus competition. 55% when teams are better. They're 3-1-1 against the spread. So they've been the better defense, the better rebounding team. I'll lean with them until Denver shows us that they're turning that corner once again, point spread wise. So lean Rockets, lean over. Tough game. Let us know how you feel, Rob.
I'm with you. I at first I wanted to play Houston plus the 9 because I thought, well, maybe Denver. And this was before I even looked at the scheduling. I thought, well, maybe Denver has something on deck that's more important to them. They have nothing on deck. Denver hasn't played since the 6th. They won't play again till the 11th. That's a long time off with just a couple of games in between. So if they're motivated at home tonight on a Friday night in front of the home crowd, Denver. But the change in Houston under the new head coach, and again, I think I said this yesterday, but I think we saw this coming, or at least we would have projected this to be the way Houston would play rather than what we saw under Steven Silas the last 2 years. It makes you want to take 9 points. They've played 3 times overall, Ski. You talked about the 258 game, but the other 2 did stay under, to your point about liking maybe the Houston defense. They played a game right before that 258 game, and it only scored 191. And the game prior to that hit 211. So both of those are unders to tonight's number. I get one of them probably was without Jamal Murray, maybe 2. Not positive on that. I didn't check the very first one, but the middle one was without Jamal Murray. So that kind of frustrates me where total is concerned. I can usually be swayed on a total one way or another, but I can't really hear. Denver is slow tempo, but they've been that way for quite some time now, and they selectively move, but they're so efficient. They get down the court, they score somehow, some way they score, and it's just hard to correlate. their slow pace to lack of points. So like I was at a crossroads here, didn't play either way. I don't know that I could recommend anything to anybody in this game. Honestly, I could see it happening or the result happening in a number of ways that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it is a very tough game. Mel says Jalen Green loves playing against Denver. Consider his points, rebounds, and assists. Brian says it's tough. It's a parlay piece for Denver money line. So, a lot of different opinions there. Told you guys how we feel about it, and we'll continue to move on. 4 more games left on the slate. We will go 523, 524. LA, don't even like saying that, Rob. Clippers versus the Utah Jazz. Wish they would move already, those Clippers, man. Clippers versus the Utah Jazz. Open Clippers -6.5. They're now 7.5 point favorite. Total open 225.5. And down 1 point to 224.5. Injury report for both of these teams. For the Clippers, I see Plumlee out. For Utah, Clarkson is game time decision, but he's more like probable right now, along with Kelly Olynyk. Same kind of deal there. So a couple guys who I feel like have been out a little bit over the past 2 weeks. Like out. I don't know. I feel like they've been in and out the lineup. Marketing continues to be out here. So for me, my first thought for this game. Let me get back over here. My rotation numbers are not correlating with the way my sheets printed out today, but how I felt about this game, I was thinking it was an under game. You look at the way both of these teams have been playing. You have Clippers 25th in pace last 5 games, Utah 27th. Utah, the worst offensive rated team in that same span. And you have a Clippers team who is top 5 defending the 3. I look at it more and more and more, and I thought a lot of the reason why Utah's offense has been that poor is because they've been missing Clarkson, because they've been missing Olynyk and Markkanen. I mean, I know they'll still be without Markkanen, but getting the other 2 guys are a boost. That makes me hold up there. But even with those guys in and out of the lineup, well, before I get there, the Clippers have gone under 9 of their last 12 games. But again, with the guys coming back for this Jazz side, it just makes me nervous to go play the under. So I didn't quite get there yet. Doesn't mean I can't by the end of the day. It was my initial look, but it makes me a little bit, gives me some hesitation or pause to see those guys. As far as the spread is concerned, I feel like the Clippers are a team that, 1, they're still trying to figure everything out. 2, they play down the competition. And that's backed up by, you look at them versus lesser competition teams, 45% win teams or less, 1 in 5 against the spread so far this season. Utah, they're 5-2 as a home dog. They are 8-4 against the spread their last 12 games, and they've covered 6 home games in a row. I mean, it's just one of those spots where it's a little bit of altitude, right? So maybe they have that going for them. I want to lean towards the Jazz. I really do. And you tell me that they're getting Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk back, I think I can lean that way even a little bit more. So I think the Jazz are the best way to play this game. Do you agree, Rob?
I do. I haven't, but I do. And I think if Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk get ruled in, you won't see 7.5 anymore. You probably see 6.5, I guess. Clarkson being the more important to odds makers of the 2, but it certainly does help them with offense. And I agree with you, Ski. I think the one thing that you said that really hits home with me is the Clippers play the competition. I mean, the other night, the Clippers are a funny team from quarter to quarter, never mind from game to game. The other night against Denver, they do win by 9, but they get destroyed in the first and third quarters and then come back and win the second and fourth. It's almost like they play when they feel like they want to play. It is a team with a lot of age on it. It's a team that wants to go slow. Again, your point about altitude, and if you get Clarkson and Olynyk back, Olynyk is a big who likes to run. Utah will run, and we'll see if LA wants to do that for 48 minutes. I don't think that George, Kawhi, and Harden all want to run for 48 minutes. No Plumlee in the middle could be somewhat of a help for Utah here. So I could build a case for the Utah Jazz if they have those 2 guys involved here. And when I just look at the Clippers point spread results over the course of the last 10, it's almost like a perfect seesaw. Not quite perfect, but it's almost win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. They do beat Denver the other night. just don't know how much they care game to game about winning by margin. That's the point here. Not winning the game, but winning by 8 points against Utah, who will care at home, again, on a Friday night in front of a home crowd. And I think with the ability to up-tempo the Clippers in this game, James Harden will try and slow them down, but I think Utah may be able to push it here. So if I had to look, it would be Utah plus points.
Well, we agree there, and they are off of a 40-point loss, or is that 50-point loss?
To Dallas.
Yeah, so I think you should get some kind of effort. Like, have some pride out there, Utah. So fight for something. I think they're the right side in this game. Lit Pick says Jazz got to get up, saturated like Zubac on a double-double. Let's keep moving. We have 3 more games left. Next one up is 5:25, 5:26. Dallas Mavericks heading into Portland to take on the Blazers. This one opened Dallas -8. Not much movement. Still see -8 pretty much across the board. Total open 227.5, and we are looking at 231.5. As far as the injury report is concerned, you do have Brogdon game time decision here. Ayton also game time decision, but doubtful. Jeremy Grant will be out once again. Wainwright out once again. For Dallas, Josh Green, Maxi Kleber, and Grant Williams all out. So I really like the way Portland's been looking lately. They've been very competitive behind their defense. They've covered 5 of their last 6 games. They're only 2-5 as a home dog so far in the season, though. You look at Dallas, they've succeeded in the road favorite role. They're 5-1 against the spread. And after that game versus Thunder, where they went on that 30-0 run and still lost the game, they carried that momentum into the last one and beat the hell out of the Jazz. So I think they're just, clicking a little bit right now. This is Portland's first game back after a long road trip. I don't like to take teams in that first game there, that flat spot. So maybe this one is high for a reason. As good as Portland's been playing lately, I think I have to lean more towards the Dallas side. Total, I don't feel strong about, so I'll leave it off. But 13 of the last 15 meetings, I believe, have gone over. A lot of those with Damian Lillard, though. So a little bit of a difference here. Do you agree the Mavs are big favorites for a reason, or would you look the other way?
Well, I agree the Mavs are big favorites for a reason. And as a general rule of thumb, what you pointed out last is something that I think a lot of us in the handicapping field and sports betting field follow is first game home after a long road trip. You don't want to be on that home team. But if there's anywhere I want to be in Dallas games right now, it's on the over. I know it's been pushed to 231.5. I think you could still get there. I think this thing started 227. The 3 names that you mentioned on the injury list for the Mavericks ski are 3 guys they depend on for defense. I mean, Josh Green may be their best defender. Grant Williams was brought over for toughness. Maxi Kleber is a guy that all they ask of him is to play some defense. And you lose 3 guys on an offensive-minded team that you ask to play defense, and that just bodes well for Portland scoring points. Portland's not void of scorers on that team, and without DeAndre Ayton in the middle, it probably leaves an open lane for Dallas to get to the rim or whatever. Dallas just cares at this point in time. They know who they are. Let's put it that way. They're an offensive team that can outscore most. I think they'll come in here. They'll put up their share of points. If they don't get to 125, it would surprise me an awful lot in this game. And if Portland doesn't come and get to, 112, 115, that would surprise me as well, because Dallas just doesn't play a heck of a lot of defense to begin with. And when you got the 3 guys that they ask to really step in and play defense for them not present, boy, I think, again, when you add in Ayton, that's like 4 defenders not on the floor here. 4 of the best defenders in the game that aren't on the floor. So I like over 231.5.
I can't talk you off of that at all. And I agree with the defenders missing in this one. Star Child nervous if Portland can score enough. I would argue Dallas defense can allow them to score. So we shall see. Rob leaning a little bit more towards the over. I'm leaning towards the Mavericks, and we will keep moving. Let's see. Last comment came in here, Joseph Alvarado. What's up, Ski? Yes, sir. Rob Veno, the cool combination of fine NBA cappers in the house. Chicago loves these guys. Ski mask, rob the bookies. I like that comment. Appreciate you, Joseph. And let's see if we can find some more winners here on the last two games of the slate. These ones I feel like we're out of order, but we go in rotation order. That's how we handle every single game. So 527, 528. New York Knicks heading into Boston to take on the Celtics. This game opened Boston -6. They're about a 7.5 point favorite right now. Total open 220. We're looking at 221 pretty much everywhere. Injury report for the Knicks. I see nobody. For the Celtics, I see nobody. I feel like these are two teams who both got embarrassed in their last game in different ways. The Knicks just got absolutely destroyed. They got ran over, bulldozed, and afterwards we start hearing, they're trying to figure out if they can make moves for another star, all star, or something. So they're not content with what they had after they saw that game. And for the Celtics, just a little bit embarrassed losing to a lesser team, even though Hallie's up and coming and all that stuff. Celtics should have been able to beat that Pacers team in that elimination game. So I think, and you get Porzingis back in the lineup for the Celtics. I think that's huge. He's a big part of what makes them better, what makes them good this year. Spacing that he provides, he's good on defense too. So he plays majority of that first quarter. I know that, and that's when Boston does majority of their damage. You look at both teams' first quarter margin. Knicks are solid, +2.6. Boston is just better, +6.3. And even if I feel like both of these teams care, which I think they do because of their last games, I would want to roll with the better team at the house. Um, so that leans me on Boston. But if I'm taking Boston, like I said, I prefer them first quarter or first half. Second half, really, Boston is the lowest scoring third quarter team in the league. We talked about that the other day, and second half margins definitely favor this Knicks team. So could see a backdoor cover, anything of that nature, and I don't want to be involved. I think Celtics come out the gate hot, and that's what I would prefer to bet on. So first quarter -2.5 was what I saw. First half -4 was what I saw. I probably prefer the first quarter more, but those are the ways I'm looking in this game. What about you, Rob?
Well, let's see if we can't parlay each other's stuff again and get a win here, Ski, because I think I like first half more. The Knicks starting unit's still capable to keep them close in first quarter, even though the numbers you pointed out suggest Boston. The first half numbers also suggest Boston. I think I saw they're +8 points overall on average in the first half of games. They always shoot better at home. You're right about both teams a little bit ticked off over what happened in the semifinals or quarterfinals, whatever they were involved in the other night when they got waxed. The Knicks got waxed. Certainly Boston didn't, but they were surprised by Indiana. And Jason Tatum had a tantrum over not winning and being able to go to Las Vegas. His quotes are, one of a guy who cared, I guess. I don't know if he couldn't wait to get to that arena or if he couldn't wait to get to craps tables or whatever, but he wanted Las Vegas and he's made it known. So certainly Boston's frustrated. The Knicks side, this is funny when I read this article, Ski, because the article talks about how great Julius Randle played the other night, shot 14 of 19, but then it goes on to tell you that Tom Thibodeau could give two blanks about how well Julius Randle played because all he cares about is their defense was brutal. Tom Thibodeau, I'm way more concerned with taking a good hard look at what we have to do to improve defensively. Obviously, we fell very short in that area. Jalen Brunson, defensively, we didn't really do anything all game long. That's the story. That's it. I mean, offensively, we're playing fine. Defensively, on that side of the ball, we just didn't do anything. I would go so far as to say this. You could start with tonight's game, and we'll be able to tell if this team is listening to Tom Thibodeau's tirade or not. Because if they come out and play defense, I would say he's still got the team's ear. If Boston comes out and lights him up, these guys might be tight. He's a guy who wears out his welcome. He's really, really intense, and he likes it his way. his system, his philosophy. And, I get that Jalen Brunson is probably the best player on the Knicks. And if you can get the leader to follow, the rest should fall in line. But Jalen Brunson isn't so definitive the leader. Like, there's not so much separation between what he does on the floor to help the team, what Randall does on the floor to help a few guys. It's not like he's Michael Jordan and the rest fall in line. So I don't know. I really think this could fracture the Knicks at this point in time that the coach is so teed off. If I had to play full game, I'd be on Boston. But I think first half Boston. I think they'll come out of the gates at home again on a Friday night and play really well. And 4 points to me, considering what they've done on average so far this year in first halves, seems to be a pretty cheap price.
All right, so we agree on this. We think the Celtics early is the way to look. And there are some comments on some props. Shaquan likes Tatum over 25.5. He says he loves that play, actually. Rayhan providing some queries. I can't copy and paste, but he's saying they say to fade the Knicks here. And it looks like this one is saying teams off a 23-point road dogs of more than 5 off a 23-point loss. Says to fade the Knicks. So appreciate you sharing that. And we'll move over to the last game on the slate for today. That will be 5:29, 5:30. Sacramento Kings heading into Phoenix to take on the Suns. Open Kings -1.5. They are a 2-point favorite everywhere. Total open 232.5, and we're looking at 235 right now. For the injury report, Duarte, game time decision. Alex Len, Kobe Jones, both out for Phoenix. Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Damian Lee, all out. So in my mind, my first initial thought is if Phoenix is going to get this done, it's going to have to be a lot of heavy lifting from Devin Booker. And the Kings don't have the greatest defense. So if I prefer that Phoenix side, I probably just play Devin Booker over his points or points plus assists or something of that nature, betting on Devin Booker if I like this Phoenix side. Other than that, you have a Phoenix team who they have been playing better defense and rebounding lately than Sacramento. But they play competition, 55% when teams are better. They're 2-4 against the spread. Sacramento, when they play competition, 5-0 against the spread. They step up. The Suns do not. So I want to lean towards the Kings here, the healthier squad, in my opinion. And didn't get to the window, but that's the way I lean. As far as the total is concerned, they're obviously missing a lot of points without KD out there. But they have gone over 9 out of 10 games so far at home. However, they're playing at the slowest pace the last 5 games. Maybe the Kings can speed them up. Kings are top 10 in that same span and bottom 10 defensive rated team. So Kings have also gone over their last 5 games. I could only look towards the over here, and I do lean towards the Kings or the Booker prop. So a lot of different ways I think you can bet this game, Rob. Which one or what do you think are the best ways to approach it?
Well, I think logically it points towards Sacramento, even though they're the road team. Bradley Beal is supposed to be on the floor tonight with Booker, so maybe Beal can help Booker out a little bit here in this game. I think that's the reason why the total's pushed upward here. I think I saw 235 at last look.
Maybe you sure? I have Bradley Beal is out.
Well, let's look again here. My notes said he was likely. I'll give it one more whirl here. On the injury report, you got a current injury report up, Ski, while I look?
Yeah, I do. It's saying he's out still.
Okay, so let's assume that he's out. Probably pushes you even more toward the Sacramento side here. The point I wanted to get to, though, was where the coaching is concerned here. Frank Vogel, Mike Brown, to me, and I think you said it best when you said they're 5-0 against competition. Mike Brown has got the bigger picture in mind. He had a quote the other day where he said, "You may not see it now." He said, "But slowly but surely, and by the time the playoffs come, you're going to see us play defense." He's trying to instill that bit of mindset into the team. And when you look at their results, it just doesn't show, right? I mean, at 235, their last 5 games, all of them have hit 235 or better. Doesn't matter who they play. It's kind of like what we were just saying about Dallas, right? Somebody tapped in in the chat and said, "I'm not sure Portland can score enough to help Dallas get it over." And the response from you was, "Well, I think Dallas defensively could allow Portland to score enough." And that's kind of the way I feel about this game here tonight. Sacramento's going to get theirs. I don't think Phoenix is good enough defensively. And you can try and slow pace all you want against Sacramento. It's just not going to happen. So if you get pace and you get Sacramento scoring and you get Sacramento's lousy defense, even though Mike Brown is telling us it's going to be something else, then I think you get over 235. I don't see how this one stays under. Phoenix should be. They come off a pretty good defensive battle with the Lakers the other night. They lose 106-103. This team, Sacramento, is built nothing like the LA Lakers. And so I'm going to try this one over Ski despite the absence of Durant. I think that Sacramento, again, pace and lack of defense allows Phoenix to get enough done at home to get this thing up and over the number. But I do like your point about if somebody likes Phoenix, just narrow that down and play Booker because that's where it's going to – and he's not afraid to take 35 shots. So, I don't know what his PRA, his point, whatever category you choose to go with. I don't know what those numbers are, but I would think that that's a pretty solid look as well.
Yeah, so we're on the same page in this game. I know it's points plus assists. Munaf shouted it out. It's 41.5 for Booker. But yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it if you like that side. Boofer reminding everybody to hit the like button. And I'll remind you too, because it absolutely helps the show. And we have over 370 people watching right now. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Rob, we made it through the entire NBA card. And I don't know about you, but hour and 12 minutes in, I don't know if we have too much more to talk about here today. So I think it's about that time where we move on over to the best bet part of the show. And I will ask you, well, first, before I ask you, I would like, the people in the chat, same way we've been doing every day, go ahead and let us know what your best bet is for the day. I will write down as many as I can, and we'll come back and see how they did tomorrow. Rob, anything you would like to promote here, and maybe a bet that you like a little bit more than some others that we discussed today?
Yeah, real quick here, end of week promo. Shout out for wagertalk.com where you can find all of my work, whether it be on shows, videos, or whether it be written or whether it be selection packages, all over at wagertalk.com. I would urge everybody to head on over there if you're interested in college football bowl week, which will start next week. I said it yesterday, last 11 weeks, number one profit maker at wagertalk.com over the course of the last 11 weeks of college football. So we'll have our college football plays up beginning this weekend, possibly tonight. Go ahead and visit my homepage at wagertalk.com. And if you want a last check-in before games go off tomorrow, I'll actually be part of Wager Talk's last call show, which goes, I think, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. Pacific, kind of done in the, in the same way as like a college game day is, just giving everybody the final word on what we're betting, what we're looking at before games tip off or kick off tomorrow afternoon. So once again, that's Wager Talk last call. Ski, for best bet, I'm going to go back to the proactive stance that I'm going to take with the Bulls right now. Bulls Spurs over 224.5. I like what Billy Donovan said, but I can trust what Billy Donovan said because if I just go to the statistics over the course of his last 3 to 4 games, it proves out that what he's trying to do philosophically as far as pushing pace, pushing tempo, getting more possessions is concerned, the Bulls are carrying through with that. Against San Antonio, it should be easy. Ski's going to have a hell of a time stamping these things, but I'll let you guys go back to watch this Bulls San Antonio analysis without getting any further into it. I'll apologize real quick for our late start today. That was on me. Smart as I am, I was on the wrong link, staring at a black screen for about 5 minutes, wondering where Ski was when I was in the wrong place. Thanks to everybody who watches. We got a shout out from South Africa today, Ski. How much better does it get than that? I mean, we reach more people than we know, but hopefully we're pushing you in the right direction to go ahead and cash some tickets. So everybody have a good weekend, and we'll get back with you next week.
Yes, much appreciated. And it's cool as hell to see people, across the world tuning in and watching the show. So appreciate all of you guys. For myself and Match Predictions essay reminds everybody to hit the like button. Appreciate that. You guys know you can find all my work as well at wagertalk.com. Both my link and Rob's link are in the description for the video. And my best bet for the show, I will go with, what are you doing over here provoking Steph Curry? I don't know what he's thinking, but I know where I'm going. I know I'm going to the window with number 30 over 28.5 points. He just has to get to his average. And when he's determined versus a team who they lost the last two matchups versus, where his matchup is, putting him all on Instagram, I'll put my money on that 10 times out of 10. So Steph over 28.5 points is my best bet for the show. Like I always say, we appreciate all of you guys in the chat. You guys make the show what it is. And I can't go a show without saying it. So just want to let you guys know you appreciate it. Best of luck if you tell. Good luck, everybody, on all of your action. And the show will be back Monday, same time. You all have a good weekend, and I'll catch y'all then.